Welcome to the Your Next Move podcast with me, Kimberly B. Cummings. Today, we have a very special episode with my girl, Jessica Hurley here. So we're going to call this the Stranded Phase times Your Next Move podcast collaboration because Jessica's podcast is all about vulnerability. And if we're very honest, vulnerability is something I kind of stay away from. I'm on this side of the couch so I can politely exit if she does too much. Because for this episode, she's going to interview me. But before we go into the interview that's going to happen, or may not if I get up and walk away, I want to talk about Insta Podcast, which is her company. I met Jessica in January 2021 at a mastermind event. And from the second I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so dope. She is so dope. And I told her that I launched like a podcast thing. So I think I launched I called it Manifest Yourself with Kimberly B. Cummings. I launched it, and if that's 2021, maybe 2020. And y'all, I legit woke up and I was like, everybody says I should do a podcast. Let me do a podcast. So I literally, yeah. And I went on, I did like the voice note app. I layered on some music and just launched some episodes, and it was doing okay. When I met Jessica, she was like, what is wrong with you? That is not how we do a podcast. Let me help you. And by the end of the conversation, we rebranded, relaunched, and we started working together to do episodes. And she is the mastermind behind all of this that you see today with the video. And it's amazing. If you have a podcast, you need to talk to Jessica to do Insta Podcast. And we call this what, a vlogcast?
A vlogcast experience.
Yes, a vlogcast experience.
Because
and she does all the things.
Audio only is dying. You need video in order to market your podcast, period.
Exactly. So special thanks to Insta Podcast and to you.
Thank you.
I guess I'm supposed to turn it over now.
Oh yeah, give it over.
All right,
give it
go
to
forth
me.
into the light.
Thank you, one, for having me. Thank you
Always.
for continuing this project. Thank you for committing to your audience. I think this is so important. And
Thank you.
just knowing you for the last 10 months, which you just said January 2021.
That's crazy.
That's insane, because I felt like just over the last 10 months, we've built an incredible friendship and just relationship. And truly because I admire the living, like, I truly admire you.
Thank you.
However, this is where we're going to jump in, because there's something about just your like fiery, direct, incredible personality that when you open your mouth, like even being small in stature, you stand up and open your mouth and the entire room is captivated. They have to turn around to listen.
Thank you.
And I remember hearing you speak and I was like, and immediately, in some forms intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
In some forms I thought, okay, this woman's never going to talk to me because I do not have this level of education by far. I have nothing to talk with this woman about, nothing to say. And then I heard your directness and I couldn't really decide, is she aggressive? Is she not friendly?
Mm-hmm. That's what so many people say about me.
Let's just address it. Like, is she a bitch? Like, is she the B word? I'm going, is this woman going to be, just better than thou? Like, that's what I'm, and
really?
It's not that you moved that way,
yeah,
but you just walk in and you ask for what you want. You don't tiptoe around like many women do.
You know what's so interesting is that a lot of people say that about me, and I used to be really hurt by it because I don't see myself as confident. I don't feel like I walk into rooms that way, but I've been told that. I think in my book, I tell a story of my first work bestie, Amber, and I walked into the office and she said I walked in like I was going to take everybody's job. And I was like, no.
Seen it before.
I'm like, no. I think I am very determined to succeed. And I practice how I'm going to walk into rooms and what I'm going to say sometimes and how I'm going to articulate myself. So at that event that we were at, if I found my notebook from before, you'd probably see some bullet points of what I wanted to say, and I write it down so that I can say it. But I definitely don't think that... I think it makes me not angry, but it makes me sad because I feel like I'm a lot more funny. I have a terrible mouth. I curse a lot. It's hard not to sometimes, especially because I'm tired. And I like to have fun.
And you like to have fun.
And I like to have fun, but I don't get to show that a lot. Or I feel like I don't give myself the opportunity to show that. So what you said is like completely on par. A lot of people, they're shocked when they meet me when I'm just like, yeah, I'm just regular.
I would have done myself a complete disservice, right? And there's so many, by not connecting with you and building a further relationship with you. And there's so many layers to this, right? Because I heard this, I had a guest on my show one time that said this, and I will forever live by it, that she said, so many women, we want to empower each other and push each other to the top. But when we get to a certain level, we've really been taught through, forever, our lifetime, through competitive and having this position with a man or in a job, there's only so much room at the top. And so as soon as you get up there, I have to yank you down. I have to belittle you. I have to let you know that you are not better than me. Like we stand from these places. So I guess you found a way to either disregard that, because none of those things are what of which you are.
Not at all. I think that I've excelled really, really fast in my career.
Very.
So I've been by myself. And I think I'm just used to operating by myself. I think I got to the point in my corporate career where a lot of like my peers, my friends, they weren't with me at the table. They were in positions where they could report to me, but not be my peers. And I think I've just learned to operate by myself. And I think that probably is what makes me a little icy, because in another podcast with AD, we talked about how once you move into a leadership position, you can't sit at the water cooler. You can't be kikiing with people who you manage. You can't do that. So I've had to go sit by myself. And also because I'm still young, it's this odd mix of I don't necessarily fit in, like in the workplace. Like I have a lot of friends. Most of my friends are like older than me. A lot of people are older than me. So in my personal life, I'd be killing it with like, it doesn't matter who, kicking it with like people in their 40s, like people in their 50s. Like I love it. But in the workplace, it's very different. I can't sit with the people who are 10, 15, 20 years older than me because I'm not there yet. But then I also can't sit with like my friends who are the same age as me. So I think I'm just used to being like a lone wolf. So it's an interesting balance.
So lonely at the top, obviously, as I say. Very lonely at the top. But I'm listening to this, and this one, like this will be my next question. We'll talk about how much of a beast you are and what created this beast. But is this... Because now you're comparing, you're taking a balance beam and putting one over the other, right?
Yeah.
So really, you have this phenomenal career, but you are admitting that there is a lot of loneliness that comes with it, because you can't find the group of people that you really fit in with, other than like some of your true peers, which we've seen in some of your interviews.
Yeah.
Is that, would you look back 1,000 times and say that that's fulfilling and or worth it?
Oh gosh, this is why I didn't want to do this mess with you.
Like, do you sometimes go, I wish I would have done this differently, or I wish I would have taken more people with me, or I wish maybe I would have sacrificed, been willing to take this journey a little longer to build some stronger relationships?
You know what? I don't think, no, because I love my career and I love what I've done. Every cent that I have made, and I've negotiated salaries for myself that are 10K more, 20K, up to 45 plus with signing bonus. I've done some phenomenal work, and I'm known for the work that I do. So no, I wouldn't take that back. But I do think there are periods in my life where I would have slowed down. I should have slowed down. I think in my personal life. Yes. So prime example, something I don't think I've ever shared before, because I don't talk about a lot of things, obviously. That's why I'm icy.
You don't ever talk about Kim.
Yes, I don't talk about me. But I graduated college, undergrad, a year early. And I had some credits from high school, but I also pushed it. And the reason why I pushed it is something that I'm not proud of. It was because I was dating a man who was a lot older than me. And I was like, well, I got to graduate with him. Like, and I kick myself. Like, clearly his behind ain't here today. And hopefully he's not watching. Sorry. But I wish that I had, like, taken that time. I think I have regrets in like my personal life, not necessarily professionally. And that's an example of, I should have studied abroad if I had extra time. Who cares about that man? If we were supposed to be together, we would have been together even if I was still in school. Facts. But I was like, ooh, let me like keep up to graduate early. And we're not even together. And I could have like been fluent in French or spent like a year in Spain because I was so on track to graduate early. Those are things that I regret, not necessarily my career.
Yeah. So... being the beast that you are, because I don't think that Kimberly puts enough energy, or is she's just so adorably humble. She doesn't talk enough about some of the things she's done, author, speaker, incredible deals. Like, you have negotiated deals that, like, I have so many people that reach out to me and you know her? How does she do this? Like, how is she doing this? I need to know. Working with some of the partnerships and collaborations with some of the largest businesses that we all know and love. Like, you do the thing. And I have to talk to you about this confidence too at some point. But you really are out here doing the thing for women that are, of age, minority. Like, there are just so many things that people rest on that you just refuse to do this. So you are literally a beast in the female form. Like, thank you. Literally. What created this? Because to have this type of drive, to have this type of push, what created this?
Gosh, through therapy. think I've gotten clarity on. It started as a kid. Like, my dad is a veteran sergeant. He is a former postmaster general for the state of Connecticut.
Oh, Lord.
He has multiple 6-year degrees. And I was just taught to always strive for excellence. There's no other option. Ever. Like, there's no option. And I think I've been taught to always stand on my own 2 feet. Like, I think when people say, like, oh my gosh, like, I just couldn't today. I'm like, I don't understand what just couldn't.
Wasn't an option.
I don't think just couldn't was ever an option. So I think that makes me also tough in the workplace. And that's why people also think I'm icy, because I've never bowed out. Like, there's a Will Smith says it. There's something that he said where he's like, I would rather die on the treadmill next to you than let you beat me. And that's how I am sometimes. I'm like, no, like I've bowed out one time in the workplace. And even I went on behavioral health leave because I was doing too much. But even
How many times does that happen to you? How many times have you done a leave like that?
No, only one time.
Okay.
And it was because it got just way too much.
Yeah.
But even in that, when you take behavioral health leave from a job, you're supposed to, like, you can leave the next day. You can leave that day and be like, it is too much for me. I have to leave. But that's not how I did it. I was already at that point where my doctor said, girl, you need some time. But I still talked to my leadership team. I found out what are the key tasks you need me to accomplish before I leave. And I didn't go right away, even though I was told, like, you need to leave today. I was like, well, let me do 2 weeks. And I made a list of all the things that my organization needed, that my team needed, that my manager needed, that my skip leader needed to execute before I went on leave. Because so even then in I don't want to say it wasn't giving up, but even like prioritizing myself, I still made sure that, like, the beast in me was like, no. What we're going to do is make sure that we wrap things up in like a pretty box and make it easy. Like, and that's something that I always do. I think we were talking earlier today, there's a group of us here about like masculine and feminine energy. And I think one of my gifts in the workplace is building out strategy. It's building out the roadmap. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily trust people to build the roadmap for me. You
take personal responsibility for it.
In almost everything.
In
everything. I don't give people the opportunity. And there's a lot of synergies between like love and relationships and like how I do things in the workplace. There's a whole other conversation that I'm not having today. That I'm not having. But I like to like wrap it. And I operate a lot in that masculine energy. And it takes a lot of trust for me to operate in feminine energy in order to like lay back and know someone else really has it. Because part of it is I've been disappointed. And part of it is like my dad was always like, no, you got this. Like, I remember paying for school field trips like as a kid. It's like, you have a job? You have a job?
Did he let you do sleepovers?
No, I had to do like long division. I told you earlier, my dad made me do long division math problems when I was in like second and third grade in order to go to a sleepover. I'm always used to having like an accountability, having like something I had to do something. I had to prove myself, create the strategy, do the thing in order to get the opportunity. So that's just how I operate.
So I'm sitting here imagining you at a place where you had to call out, not literally call out, but I'm thinking like you're literally putting your hand up and saying like, enough is enough. I've had enough. Yeah. Now there is outside people externally that are telling me my body, my inner person can no longer handle this. And then you still go and take it a step further to wrap it up in a pretty bow, which wow to you.
I don't want anyone to ever say anything about me. That's my thing.
I know.
What you won't do is say that Kimberly Becomings didn't do it. And I know that's a whole other thing. I feel it. I feel you're going to ask a question. I'm not going to like it.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, the way I explain overwhelm is when you are giving people an infinite amount of yeses, which means you're saying no to yourself.
Yes.
And all I think about is you returning to work to wrap this up in a pretty bow, to only come back to more mess, was just more of you saying yes to other people and no to yourself.
100%.
And how many times do you know, looking back, that you have said no?
Oh, all the time. All the time. And I think one thing that I'm working on now is prioritizing what I do to, I guess, fill my well back up, to like give myself the yes. And it's difficult. That's at least what I tell myself. It may not be correct, but I tell myself that when I like say no to something, that I will replenish it later. And I do. I feel like I do. And that's how I guess, barter with myself. Like if I give all of my energy into a project or something, I will go and do something lavish for myself or treat myself. I joke and say that when I work hard, I also relax hard when I relax. Because when I relax, like you can't talk to me. You can't reach me. I'm not on social media. If you are not like my emergency contact, it is none of your business where I am. And I'm not going to pick up.
Do you dread coming back? When you
No.
like turn the phone off and like you're like, oh, tomorrow's I have to go back. Like,
No.
do you dread it?
I think in corporate, I take a pride in the work that I do and the impact that I have. So when I was in corporate America, I think a teach, but I was also super excited to see my team. I love managing people. So very excited to see my team, excited to like continue to make an impact, especially in my last few jobs when I was in DEI work. It's very fulfilling to me. So not so much. I think as an entrepreneur, like I'm a new full-time entrepreneur, so I don't know what time off. I don't understand what that is yet. So that's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
That's Saturday. And sometimes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will say that.
Which is good.
Yes.
It's a start.
Yes, it is. It is.
So I'm listening to this and I have this conversation on end I've had this conversation with women that like we get into our mid-30s and I feel like this is like a really hot topic right now where there's so many men or groups of people that are talking about how powerful women lose their femininity. That there is just we're just masculine all the way around. Truth be told, I personally believe that us living in our masculine energy comes from survival, the need for survival, to thrive, to rise above men, to rise above just an equal stake. We have to literally operate in our masculine energy.
Yeah.
And I really think that at some point, like, I don't know if it's in your late 20s or early 30s, like women at this level, they wake up at some point and they assess everything that's worked out. I'm at this level. I have this home. I have this car. I have this life. I have this financial freedom. Great for me. And they assess everything that they did to get there and everything that they sacrificed. And I think at some point, and I really hate to say this, but I feel like we look back and we go, okay, like that femininity thing, that emotional thing, that super like being myself and my feminine, that worked for no one. So it's really hard for me to go there and live there because being that got me nowhere.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I think that, at least in my circle, I'll speak for myself, I feel like a lot of times when you see women operate in masculine energy, it's not because they don't want to be in the feminine.
Right.
Deep down, I'm old school. I am very old school. Deep down, I'm not like, if my man's hungry, I'm going to wake up and make him a sandwich in the middle of the night, and I'll be glad to make him a sandwich.
Right.
I think I have a lot of really old school qualities in me, but I think there's a level of trust that needs to happen. If you've read, I'm currently reading the book All About Love by Bell Hooks. Incredible. You need to buy it and read it. I think that there's that commitment and respect piece. If that isn't there, then it doesn't allow people to operate in both senses. There's men who have to operate in feminine energy and they really want to be the man of the household, but they can't because they haven't been given the opportunity. I think when there's respect and trust, you get to go to whatever side is natural for you. And it doesn't have to be like you're strictly feminine, strictly masculine. It could be whatever percentage is important to you. But I think the trust, respect, and the honesty and the commitment are the pieces that if you don't have that, you can't operate in whatever energy you'd like to. Because I would 100% say I would love to not operate in masculine energy all the time. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. I want to be able to kick my feet up and be like, someone's got it. I want to be able to say that, today's a really bad day. And I catch myself correcting myself all the time when things are bad. I'll be like, well, how are you doing? Like, today I'm not that good, but I'll be A-okay. But I'm cultivating new friendships that allow me to operate in feminine energy, which is very different. I'm normally the person in the circle who I'm helping people with strategy, helping people with the things. If I say I'm not doing well, they're like, girl, I know you got it. Like, if anybody can do it, you can. And I'm just like, nah, I clearly can't call you no more.
I need no more of that.
Basically, I don't need to hear that. But I'm cultivating new friends where I have the opportunity to be vulnerable like this and say that I'm not okay and allow people to help me. But it doesn't feel comfortable for me. I'm learning to lean into it.
I feel like when I was in the workplace, and I'm curious if you have any advice for anyone listening that is in the workplace, vulnerability is exposure. It's weakness. Yeah. It's risky. It just exposes you on a level that could be weaponized against you.
Yes, 100%.
And I think there's women out there that it's just really a switch. It's like when you go into work, you're a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come out, you're exhausted and there's a reason. And it's not necessarily always the overwhelm or the work.
Yeah.
It's that you are literally putting on a face, a mask, a persona,
mm-hmm.
and operating in someone that you are truly not. And I think this just takes so much away from that trust factor with ourselves, because we're walking into a place where we feel like
mm-hmm.
our normal self is not, our natural self is not appreciated. It's not liked. It's not safe for my normal self to be here.
And that's one of the reasons why I wrote my book. And it's not necessarily talking about that masculine, feminine energy, but being in a job, working at a company that's aligned with who you are and your core values. Mm-hmm. Once you have that, you really can create a career that you love. So I think that is important. I think there's always going to be an element of code switching. Always, period.
Yes.
It's going to happen. I code switch coming on here.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen. I have a speaking voice, and it's going to turn on when I'm on here versus later. We're always going to code switch. But I think there's a piece where it becomes too much, where it's really inauthentic to who you are. And I think that in the workplace, vulnerability is needed because there's a part that you need to connect with people, and generally that comes through sharing, it comes through personal stories. But you have to know the realities of what are the, I don't even want to call it consequences, but maybe like the reactions. Like, I've had leaders before where it's like, half-stepping is not allowed. Like, period. It's like, I don't understand why you logged off, because I haven't. I'm still working. I have kids. I have a husband. I'm still online. So why aren't you online? Or there's like that shade. It's like, oh, I have to log offline. It's so-and-so's birthday. Oh, I've missed like 10 birthdays this year. But go ahead, enjoy. Like, there's shade like that. So you have to decide, like, is it vulnerable? Like, for some women like that, I'll be like, yo, tell them you have a doctor's appointment. Just tell them. Sometimes you have to play that game, and it's ugly. And some people are like, well, I'm not playing it. But I'll say I'll definitely play it sometimes. Mm-hmm. I 100% will if I don't want to have, if I know there's going to be an adverse reaction, then I'll be like, oh, I have a doctor's appointment. Do I have a doctor's appointment? No, it's my nephew's soccer game. Like, because I don't want to hear no mess.
No, exactly.
You're going to be passive aggressive. I'm like, it is what it is.
I'll do without.
Yeah, I'll do without it. You have to decide if it's safe. If it's safe for you, and if you care. Because if you care, I know I care. I may not open myself up to that, versus if I do have a leader or I have someone on my team, like, I'll tell my team everything. Like, last summer, I got diagnosed with like a nerve issue, and I had to tell people. I didn't tell everybody, but I had to tell people because it impacted how I did my work. And I told people who I felt were safe, who wouldn't like look down on what the issue was, because that made me different. It made me, I had to explain like what the consequences were, what my experience was. But I didn't tell everybody that mess. That's none of their business. They just know I was out today, or I'm not on video.
So take me back to this confidence piece, because this is where I'm really curious.
I feel like we've been talking for a long time.
Two more.
Getting nervous.
Take me back to this confidence piece, because you could not, if other than that coming out of your mouth in front of me, you could not sell me that. And maybe that is the purpose. Like, maybe that is the intention, is that I do not crack. You cannot see it. You will not see this soul crack, right?
No.
But for you to tell me you don't have any confidence, and you close $30,000, $40,000 deals with I'm talking about some of the largest companies that every single person watching this knows and is aware of and would die to work for or work with. Like, what do you feel like keeps you in this space
of not having the confidence?
Yeah. Because I always think with like clarity comes confidence, clarity, action, and actionable steps lead to confidence. You have mastered like action and results. You've mastered it. There's nothing you don't put your mind to that doesn't happen immediately. You like 10x everything on 10 speed. So where's the missing link? Where do you feel like it's like still lagging?
So, I asked this question in therapy today. I said that despite having confirmation that something is going to happen, that something is aligned, something is better, sometimes it doesn't like hit me where it should hit me. I guess like it doesn't like fill the cup in the way that it's supposed to be filled to give me the confidence. Like, a deal that I'm working on right now is the largest deal I've ever had in my entire life. And it's a lot more than $40,000. It's like, it is a big deal, but it just hasn't landed like in my soul in the way that you think it would, that would give me the confidence. Like, ain't nobody messing with me. That's just not, I don't know. It just doesn't land. And that's something I'm working through.
Do you know anybody messing with you right now?
I try not to pay attention.
Is there anyone that you're comparing yourself to? Because I don't think it's someone that's on a pedestal or comparison
myself.
for you.
I compare myself to the highest version of myself that I want to be.
And who is she?
She's not here yet. She still has more growing to do.
She's. What does she look like? Paint her. I want to see her because I want to know who you are comparing yourself to. That is like this version of Kimberly that you are just so far from that feels unobtainable.
So something that I rarely ever say is that my goal is to be the Oprah of career and leadership development.
Oh, say it again. What?
I'm not saying it again. That hurt. My stomach.
You desire to be what?
I'm sweating on the couch. I'm sweating and I'm wearing satin.
I heard Oprah of career leadership is what I heard.
That's the goal. And I feel like I'm so far from I'm making amazing strides. I do know that I have great accolades. I have great accomplishments. I have great results. I can stand on those things. I have receipts. I can show them if need be. But I also think about where I want to be in my life, in my career, like in its entirety. And I know that I got work to do. I have work to do. So I feel like maybe I subconsciously don't celebrate along the way because I know there's more. I don't let it hit because I don't want to.
You don't celebrate when the outcome arrives either, though.
Ish. I'm getting better at it. But it's something that I'm working on. Something that I'm working on acknowledging and celebrating and allowing that to hit my confidence. Confidence is something that I turn on. It's not something that I feel like is innately there for me. It's like that Issa Rae in the mirror, like, all right, Kim, it is game time. You better go in there and say the things.
Use the alter ego. Talk to this girl.
Exactly.
So I remember, and this is just personal, so I feel like confidence really came from me when I really got at peace with myself, which was like a journey. Yeah. But I remember 2018, I did something that I thought I would never do, baby steps in comparison to your journey, but I secured a TEDx talk.
Oh, that's big. I haven't done TEDx. That's big.
So yeah, I had no idea I could do this. I was floored. I was like, oh, they picked me. So I get chosen. I do this thing. I've never been more committed to something in my life. It was like a 3-month journey. I do it. I get off the stage, and like 4 days later, like the feeling dissipates, and I'm talking to a mentor about it. And so simply put, he just reminded me, like, the art of fulfillment for the majority of us is truly the feeling that growth gives us and the process. It is never the outcome. Yeah. And so he was like, most of us are married to the outcome, that we ignore the process, we ignore the journey, and then we get the outcome, and then that's why 4 days later we're chasing something else.
On to the next.
Because it fulfills nothing for us.
Yeah. It's on to the next. And I feel like I always know what the next thing is. I always go to the next.
So it's how and when does Kimberly adopt and just embrace, like,
ease? Everything
that you are. You already are.
I will. I'm working on it. I think that I am. I'm slowly but surely realizing. But it's like a practice. It's hard. This is very uncomfortable. Y'all, this is very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
So what would your advice be to your audience, anyone listening that is just as floored as I am about the steps that you've taken in business, the way that you do confidently, walk into a room, negotiate everything and anything that you want. Like, we've talked about your business life, but I feel like the traits that you have, or your personal life, but the traits that you have in your business life transferred over with just all around, like, you want to talk about a whole experience. But for the women that are listening and they're like, I want this in my career. I want this in my life. I want to believe that I can negotiate the salary I want. I want to believe that I can have the career opportunity that I want. I want to operate in confidence and demand what I want. What would your advice be to them?
And I feel like what I'm going to say is counterintuitive because I kind of contradicted it a little while ago. But I feel that stand on your past success. I feel like that's the one thing that gives me confidence in going into. So yes, I have to step into confidence. It's not innate to who I am. Like when I'm negotiating deals, when I first did a 10K salary increase for myself, I was like, okay, like you actually did that. It is a fact that I did that. So I was like, let's go for 20. Like we did 20, we could do 40. Like, have you ever got a sign-on bonus? You did 40. You could do a sign-on bonus, Kim. You could do a sign-on bonus. And I stand on that success. And I think when you really sit down and track your wins, I think something that my therapist had me do years ago was track all my wins. Like, what are all the goals that I've had? And what are all, like, the big milestones that I've reached? And I mean everything from, like, building a relationship with a mentor who I used to watch online to getting a piercing that I never thought that I'd get. To
book deals.
Yes, to book deals and that and all those things. And like when I look at that, that's what sometimes gives me confidence to keep going, because the manifesto for manifest yourself is you must believe in yourself and your vision. When you do this, you'll manifest the life you desire. Mm-hmm. And when you understand that your vision is created on the back of like your past success, and that's like the foundation for you to continue to do bigger and better, it kind of forces you to take action. I'm also deathly afraid, last thing I'll say, I'm deathly afraid of looking back and saying like, I'm in the same place I was the year before. That makes me so angry. Like I refuse to go to an event, like the same event twice. And if I haven't changed, you won't see me there. Cause I'm like, I didn't listen to what happened last time. So why am I going back? You didn't listen. Like that's me talking to myself. I'm a little harsh on myself sometimes, but I'm like, I just refuse to be in that same place like year after year. I believe in you have to do something. You have to change something if you don't like where you are.
There's so much more.
But we're going to end today. We're going to end. But do you have any closing words? Where can we find you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Instagram is where I usually hang out at Jessica Hurley _. And then obviously for podcast production, getting your voice, your message, your brand out there through the power of podcasting is instapodcast.com. So.
And I want to say one last thing. So if y'all liked this, by the way, because if you've seen me fidgeting, I'm not sure if you can see sweat marks. Like this makes me uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. Also because Jessica knows my business and she could just get me to talk about the things. If you like it, let us know, because I'm just going to put you out there for it. Like she's my podcast producer, so she's going to be here as I do these things. Maybe we could do one each season.
Oh yeah.
Can we do an interview like this and it's like a thing?
Oh, I didn't even tap the surface. This was too. You didn't give me any time.
Oh yeah.
If I would have had time to prep the questions,
no, we not prepping.
I would have been all up in the first 18 years of your life.
Well, next time. So each season we'll do an episode like this.
Yes.
And you'll interview me and we can talk.
The stranded phase, embracing every stuck phase in your life. That's what I want out of you.
All right, y'all.
We know the wins already.
With that, thank you so much for tuning in. And please let us know, like, subscribe. And I hope y'all have a great day. I'm known for building out strategies and execution. My friends know me for being able to take a problem and break it down into the milestones that you need to achieve to solve that problem. Reverse engineering is my jam. Operations is my jam. Building teams, another one of my jams. You get the gist. People know that about me when they speak to me. When my clients talk to me about their careers, my whole book is about building a 2-year career strategy, because that's what I'm all about.